Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Aisha Rashid Khan from Southern Business School, University of Southern Punjab, Multan. Today we are going to discuss the remaining chapter number 2 taken from the book by Michael Armstrong. The learning objectives of this chapter includes, by the end of this lecture, students will be able to define and explain the concept of strategy in HRM. Number 2, differentiate between rational, planned, and emergent strategies. Number 3, understand Whittington's 4 approaches to strategy. Number 4, describe the classical step-by-step strategy formulation model. Number 5 point explains the concept of emergent strategy, Mintzberg-Quinn. Number 6, formulate integrated HR strategies in talent engagement and knowledge management. Number 7, analyze the interlinkages among HR strategies for organizational effectiveness. And the number 8, reflect on which strategic approach applies to real-life workplaces. The formulation of strategy. Let's now turn our attention to how strategy is actually formulated in organizations. Many textbooks and managers imagine strategy as a rational, step-by-step plan like a recipe with precise ingredients and instructions. But the reality is far more complex, unpredictable, and human. Number 1, the ideal versus reality. Traditionally, strategy formulation is seen as logical, predictable, linear, resulting in a formal written plan. But in real organization, things are rarely this neat. As Armstrong highlights, this is a misrepresentation of reality. Yes, frameworks are useful, but managers operate in uncertainty where the future rarely resembles the past. Certainly, here's how you can present Whittington's 4 approaches to strategy engagement. The questions are tailored for a class discussion. Whittington's 4 approaches to strategy. 1993, Whittington gives us a more practical lens to understand how organizations actually develop and apply strategies, not just how they should. He outlined 4 distinctive approaches based on 2 dimensions: the outcome of strategy, profit maximization versus broader social outcomes, and the process of strategy, deliberate versus emergent. Approach description. Classical strategy is deliberate, planned, and rational. Managers aim to maximize profits through clear analysis, forecasting, and control. Think MBA style formal planning. Evaluationary strategy is not controlled by managers but shaped by the market. The best performing firms survive, others don't. Survival of the fittest in competitive markets. Processual strategy emerges over time through trial and error, negotiation, and internal politics, often seen in complex organizations with many stakeholders, and the systematic strategy is deeply influenced by cultural, social, or institutional norms. It's not just about profit, but about doing what fits within a system. Family-owned firms or state-run companies often fit here. For example, a Pakistani family-owned textile business may not rely on detailed spreadsheets or external consultants. Instead, decisions might be made by the senior-most family member, guided by cultural values, traditions, or even religious ethics. This reflects a systematic approach. Which of Whittington's approach best describe your current or previous workplace? Why? Encourage them to reflect, was the strategy strictly planned or more reactive? Were decisions based on market competition, internal politics, or cultural expectations? Who had the most influence on strategy? The top management, the market, or internal stakeholders? Expected students' responses may include, my previous company had a very detailed strategic plan. Everything was forecasted and followed quarterly, so I think that was classical. In our startups, we often change direction based on what worked or failed. That's definitely procedural. In my father's business, decisions were based on family values and traditions, not financial modes. That's systematic. And the number third, the classical model, step by step. This model outlines a strategic planning in organization. Each step plays a critical role in building and executing strategies effectively. Here's an explanation of each stage. Number one, define the mission, what it is. A mission statement defines the core purpose of the organization, why it exists, what it does, and whom it serves. Why it matters, it gives direction to all strategic activities and unifies stakeholders around a common purpose. For example, Google mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Number second, set objectives. What it is, clear measurable goals the organization want to achieve over a specific time. Number third, why it matters. Objectives translate the mission into actionable targets. These could be financial, operational, and customer related or growth oriented. For example, increase market share by 10% within 2 years. Number third, conduct a SWOT analysis. What it is, a tool used to evaluate strengths internal, weaknesses internal, opportunities external, threats external. Why it matters, it helps identify internal capabilities and external conditions, effective strategic decisions. For example, a company's strength could be brand reputation, while a threat could be new competitors. Number four, analyze existing strategy and identify gaps. What it is, assessing current strategy, initiatives, and their alignment with goals. Why it matters, helps uncover mismatches, inefficiencies, or outdated tactics. For example, a retailer's online strategy may lag behind market trends, revealing a gap in digital transformation. Number fifth, identify distinctive capabilities. What it is, unique strengths that give the companies a competitive edge, also called core competencies. Why it matters, these capabilities form the foundation for sustainable competitive advantage. For example, Apple's distinctive capabilities include innovative product designs and ecosystem integration. Number 6 point is recognize key strategic issues. What it is, crucial challenges or decisions that could impact the company's long-term success and why it matters. Addressing these early helps prevent risk and ensures proactive strategy formation. For example, a strategic issue could be the impact of automation on workforce needs. Number 7th, develop corporate and functional strategy. What it is, corporate strategy, overall direction. For example, diversification, growth, stability. Number 2nd, functional strategies, specific approaches within departments like HR, marketing, finance, operations. Why it matters, aligns the entire organization towards company strategic goals. And for example, HR may develop a talent acquisition strategy aligned with the company's innovation goals. And the 8th point, prepare integrated strategic plans. What it is, a comprehensive plan that combines corporate, businesses, and functional strategies into one unified roadmap. Why it matters, ensures coherence, avoids duplication, and fosters synergy across the departments. For example, a tech firm integrates research and development, marketing, and HR strategies into one product innovation plan. And the 9th point is the implementation strategies. What it is, executing the developed strategies through resources, structures, systems, and leadership. Why it matters, without implementation, even the best strategies remain theoretical. For example, launching a new product line, hiring talent, or entering a new market. And the 10th point, monitor and revise. What it is, continuously evaluating performance against objectives and adjusting strategies as needed. Why it matters: business environments change, monitoring ensures adaptability and long-term relevance. For example, a company may revise its digital strategy in response to new technology trends, and the summary is this 10-step model helps organizations strategically align their goals, capability, and actions to succeed in a dynamic environment. It provides a structured path from mission definition to ongoing strategic improvement. It's logical, but in reality, organizations rarely follow this sequence neatly, and the emergent strategy and the real world. For example, Mintzberg in 1987 in 1994 gave us a breakthrough idea. Strategy isn't always planned, sometimes it emerges through action. He argues strategy is not just formulated then implemented. Sometimes we act first and then understand our strategy in hindsight. Real strategists get their hands dirty discovering patterns from experience. For example, a restaurant pivoting during COVID didn't plan it in an instance. For an emergent adaptive response, Queens call this logical incremental strategies evolve step by step, integrated HR strategies, formulation and implementation. To gain a strategic advantage, HR practices must be aligned and interconnected across key HR domains. Let's explore how to formulate and implement integrated strategies in. Number 1, talent management strategy formulation. Analyze future business needs and identify required skills. Develop a talent framework covering attraction, development, and retention. Align with leadership success and workforce plan. Implementation: use competency models for recruitment and development, establish leadership development programs, build strong employer branding to attract high potential talent. Use HR analytics to turnover trends. For example, a manufacturing firm for AI engineers and develops an upskilling and scholarship program in AI for current employees. Number 2, employees employment strategy and the formulation. Diagnose current engagement levels using surveys and focus groups. Identify factors affecting morale, leadership, recognition, communication. Link engagement to performance and retention metrics. Implementation: implement recognition programs, well-being initiatives, and inclusive leadership training. Encourage two-way communication, for example, town halls, pulse surveys, and the train managers in coaching, feedback, and motivation techniques. For example, a service firm launches an employee voice platform for idea sharing, leading to a 20% increase in innovation-related suggestions. And the number 3 is knowledge management strategy. Formulation: identify critical knowledge areas and risk of knowledge loss. Map out knowledge flows and gap across teams. Align KM strategies with learning culture and tech infrastructure. Implementation: create knowledge repositories, wikis, and expert decisions. Encourage monitoring and cross-training. Use collaboration platforms like Microsoft Teams or Slack for sharing. Reward knowledge sharing behavior in performance reviews. For example, a pharmaceutical company captures retiring scientists' expertise through video case studies and documentation for new resources. Integration across strategies. These strategies could not operate in silos. For example, talent management feeds into engagement by providing growth opportunities. Engaged employees are more likely to share knowledge and mentor others. Knowledge management supports talent development and foster onboarding. And the final thoughts: formulating and implementing integrating HR strategies ensures that HR initiatives are aligned with strategic goals. Employees are fully engaged, skilled, and retained. Employees' knowledge is preserved and leveraged. Integration leads to synergy. where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And the summary is strategy is not always rational or linear. Emergent strategy is common, developed through doing, not just thinking. Contextual, cultural, market forces, and individual motivations all shape strategy. Strategic management is adaptive, messy, and shaped by human behavior. Thank you.